city. And you've been open about, some of the challenges that you've addressed. What would you say to some of the kids, like the kids in the documentary, some people that are going through some of the things that you've been going through, and what would you give them, what kind of advice would you give them to overcome?
Really just, you gotta pray, have faith, and keep your loved ones around you. Like what I was dealing with, I wasn't around a lot of my loved ones like that, and I lost, myself, started feeling alone, started feeling like, I didn't have what it takes to start, just ready to let it all go, and then I had to also realize like what I'm here to do, is to make my city better, to better my situation for my family and friends. At the same time, I put everything on the line. I became a sacrifice for just the city. So anything that I want to see better in the city, I put into my music, or I put it into the tattoos, whatever it is. Even doing this show that we're doing, we're trying to shine light on more positivity that's going on in Chicago, because there is a way out. I just feel like some people in Chicago don't know how dope we really are. I feel like Chicago got the world. Like you look around, everything that's going on, Chicago on top of everything. Fashion, music, comedy, y'all name it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. Like we got it. And I just think the city I just think we need to have a better state of mind overall. And we have to also protect the youth, because they the next ones up. You gotta lead the way.
Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely. We'll go to Charmaine really quick with some of the things that Ford just addressed and the stigma that Chicago may have on it. I mean, you guys do a lot of traveling at this point. You know what I mean? You go around the country, and I hear it, and I know y'all hear it. Oh, y'all live in Chicago. You know what I mean? You got to be careful walking around Chicago. People don't really know like how beautiful the city is. So, how do you address some of that stigma that Chicago may have when you go other places? And how do you just kind of tell people like, yo, that's not everything. There is more to Chicago than just what you hear.
It's so crazy, Kyle, because, I'm not from Chicago. And when I tell people I live in Chicago, they're like, oh my gosh, Chicago? So dangerous. Especially people don't even live in America. Like they can't wait to say Chicago is so dangerous. Imagine the only thing that you ever hear about Chicago is how dangerous it is. But living here, I've seen the most beautiful summers, the most beautiful people, the most beautiful culture, the greatest food, and it's just so sad that people don't even think Chicago has this beautiful culture that it has, that it holds. Also, what Ford was saying, Chicago holds a lot of great things. Like, I just noticed how many movies are being done in Chicago.
Right.
I was just watching a movie, was it Godzilla with The Rock? And yeah, it's in Chicago. Like they got Godzilla popping out of the Chicago River and like tearing through the towers and like all this. Man, it's so crazy. And it's Rampage? Wow.
That's what it was.
No. But my point is that it's so taboo that you come downtown and it's, I now live downtown and it's very expensive to live downtown. When I first came to Chicago, I lived on the south side, 58th in Indiana. It was a lot more affordable for me. And there were gunshots at 1 o'clock in the afternoon outside. I stuck it through as long as I could because it was really affordable, but at one point I was scared of my own life. Just being inside folding clothes, scared that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a bullet is gonna go through my window and accidentally hit me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really unfair that those are the experiences that we have to go through living in such a beautiful city.
Understood.
So, yeah.
Understood. For Ryan down on the end, one of the conversations I have with people about Chicago all the time, having lived in a couple of different places, is when I got to Chicago, right, I recognized how so many people in this city, regardless of what their industry is, the hustle is real. You know what I mean? I see what you're doing with Fashion Geek. I see what you're doing with Nine Bag. And I see what so many different people are doing around the city. And whatever their field is, whatever their game is. And how I want to ask Ryan, because I know that you've dealt with some loss when we talk about gun violence and things of that nature. How do you overcome the violence? And how do you still apply your hustle every day? Because I know you have to manage that. You have to manage the emotions, right? But you still have to put forth the effort. You still have to be focused enough that you have a successful business.
Yeah, I think just what Chicago does, it breeds something different. We go places around the world and, you meet so many different people. And from the people that have, survived here and gone to do great things, even the people sitting here now, people everywhere see that we are something different, and it's supposed to be looked at as, you know, you had a friend that died and, you know, you might have lost something or a loved one, you know, and you're from Chicago, you should be all right, get over it, you know. And it's crazy that stigma is what gives us our hustle, is what gives us our grind, that makes us just stick it out because we're supposed to be all right. When we're not, you know what I mean? You have people who have post-traumatic stress that's not diagnosed just in living everyday life, and you have to live through that because you should be okay. You know, you're a man here, you should be okay. And just like I said, with the documentary focusing on people who are helping within the community, like I said, it's some big stigmas that have to be addressed. One thing that stuck out to me the most is what I always speak on, which people, you know, tend to just overlook as what it is. You know, the Reverend said at the end that it'll take more than just the church. It has to take things that are actually overlooked. You know, and they said it in the beginning of the documentary, is that when you see the glitz and glamour of down here, you know, and immediately 10 to 15 minutes southwest or some parts north, you know, it seems as if it's a whole different world, and you're showing that it's okay to be in a different part of the city and then live differently. You can clearly come down here and be on Michigan Avenue in the summertime and see from the beginning of Michigan Avenue all the way to the end, possibly 6 to 8 officers on each corner, sometimes sitting down, sometimes leaning. And on each corner, these officers are here to protect, you know, maybe a pickpocket, you know, maybe somebody swiping a bad card. And that presence is what's given down here. But if you had even a fraction of that presence on the south side where the murders are, or, you know, out west, something like that, you have blocks out there that aren't patrolled all day long for 10 to 20 blocks where nobody's riding down that block. There's somebody out there who knows ain't nobody coming down this block. I can kill somebody and get away. And that presence isn't out there. And if you're saying we don't have that police presence out there because you can't afford it, well, you have it right here. So when you do that and you have it down here and it's not out south, you're saying that it's worth more to protect the money than the lives. So why would you not address that in government? Why would you not address that in politics when that is the main thing that we have? You can put one officer on a block out there and then somebody who know they got to kill that person because whatever they're going through is like, man, I can't even go over there today because the police ride down the block all the time.
Facts.
And they don't do it.
Facts. Give it up for that. He's talking about